Welcome back to Moose Track Studio. For just a second, let's go back to where we were at the end of the last episode, which I admit has taken a little while in between, but not without a story that needs to be told. So where were we when we left off? Here's our list of things to do for the week. I've taken off the contact the alarm company. After we made the beginning of this week's video, we had contacted the alarm company, and it seems like the solution is to put wireless smoke detectors in the places that we need to add them in the house, and that way it can be monitored through the alarm system itself instead of just a standalone smoke detector. Haha, it seemed so easy at the time. All you had to do was put in the new smoke detectors and you could link them right into the system. And that's when things started going strange. So a couple of days after we finished the video last time, we had some friends come to visit us, the Martins. From left to right, we've got Keegan, Patrick, Marie, me, and Neil. It started out a day like any other day here in Montana, snow falling down, the end of a nice long day of skiing. Everybody was tired and worn out, physically exhausted from the fun that they had had. As it turns out, this is a particularly cold week in Montana in the range of -20 to -40, and on this particular night it was -35. So Keegan and Neil decided to show how you could take boiling water and throw it in the air and instantly turn it into snow.
Throw it up. Wow. That's so cool.
Now, why is making snow so important to this conversation? Well, because it was -35 degrees outside. It always seems to happen in the middle of the night when people are trying to sleep, when you suddenly hear that chirp and then silence and then chirp. Where is that coming from? Could it be from a smoke detector? Chirp. Yep, it's a smoke detector. Could it be, this one? That's the culprit. No problem. Let's just change the battery. Well, as it turns out, that was not the chirp of a smoke detector, but rather the chirp of a carbon monoxide detector, which uses a special kind of battery like this rather than a 9-volt battery, because you're not supposed to change them. The old version that we had before they updated the system, we could change the battery, which is why I had some of them, but in the new system, you're not supposed to take them out. When we tried to take it out, we set off a tamper alarm, and the alarm panel called the monitoring system to tell them that our carbon monoxide detectors were being tampered with. The alarm company called us to verify the condition, and we told them it was a false alarm, that we were trying to change the batteries in the carbon monoxide detector. But apparently they said, well, you can't do that. Okay, we found that out. And it was sending off a continual carbon monoxide failure. So we told them it was a false alarm. Could they turn the alarm off until we could get it fixed? And apparently that wasn't possible. They decided that the only solution was to call the fire department. Now, why are we looking at this again? Well, because immediately after they called the fire department, we received a call that we were supposed to immediately vacate the building, that emergency had been detected and our lives were in danger. Well, if you remember, it was -35 degrees. and we weren't going to stand outside in our pajamas waiting for the fire department. And this is the driveway up to the studio with no cars in it. To give you a perspective, let's add a van so we can see a little bit of a size estimate. Also notice the berms along the side of the driveway are 3.5 feet tall, sometimes 4. The ones around the curve are actually 7 feet tall or more. Now imagine adding an ambulance to this, a hook and ladder, an administrative vehicle, and a truck, which is normally parked where the van is and has a plow blade on the front. Needless to say, turning around all these vehicles turned into a nightmare in and of itself, and it was already late at night. Now remember, all this took place at night, and the one thing that the fire department complained about was that they couldn't read the address numbers on my post. That post is about 4 feet tall, and so you can tell how deep the snow is. We did have a storm that night, and so it was covered. I will give them that credit. The next day, the alarm company came out and took a look at the alarms that we had problems with and said they did indeed need to be replaced. You couldn't replace the batteries, and so they should be thrown away, and we should back order some new carbon monoxide detectors. They would take a couple of weeks. So meanwhile, we went out of the country on a vacation and had an excellent time. Just before leaving on vacation, we had a failure with our water softener system. The brine tank that's supposed to hold the salt was full of water and needed attention. That was normally a valve that needed to be replaced, but we couldn't get that set up immediately. We had to leave for the airport right away. While we were in Mexico, it turned out that there was a open slot to install a new water softener maintenance agreement starting the day we got back. So that sounded like a great idea, and we booked it. Then we got a call that the alarm carbon monoxide detectors are also available, and so we booked them to be installed the same morning we got back. Seemed to be a good idea to take care of everything at once. Everything started out okay. Things were supposed to start happening around 9 o'clock. My truck was parked where the van is now, in the red line. That was where my truck was parked, and I was expecting people to start arriving. So the first person that arrived was the Pure Waters technology guy, and he took the spot where the blue line is right by my truck, which was no big problem. We should have had plenty of spots for the Pure Water softener guy and for the alarm guy. So while I was showing the water softener guy to the mechanical room and the water softener, the bell rang and the alarm company guy was here. He parked in the green spot right behind the Pure Water guy, and that's okay because he shouldn't have taken as long as the Pure Water guy did anyway. Now this all would have been just fine, but the problem started when the mountain alarm guy started putting the carbon monoxide detectors back. He forgot to put the system into test mode and set off the alarm. Well, I didn't realize that the alarm had been set off. The alarm company called me, but my phone didn't ring. The alarm company called my wife, but the phone didn't ring. The alarm company sent me a text message, which didn't come through. But they did call a friend of ours who takes care of our place. So he started heading out here on his way. Meanwhile, the fire department was all on their way as well. The first time I realized we had a problem, I was walking up the stairs from the mechanical room where I was showing the Pure Water guy and checking on him. And at the top of the stairs was a fireman standing in the middle of my living room. And I wondered what had happened. Well, when he explained that he had gotten an alarm, I looked outside the window. There in the brown circle was an ambulance parked. Inside the yellow circle was their administrative vehicle. Inside the dark blue circle was the truck from a friend of mine who watches our house, and the green stripe down by the street was where the hook and ladder was in case the carbon monoxide was caused by the house burning down, which obviously wasn't the case. Well, the mountain alarm guy was now upset because he was finished and he couldn't back out of my driveway because of all the other vehicles there. I guess he didn't realize that all the other vehicles were there because he set off the alarm and didn't tell his company it was a false alarm. And so we had the entire fire department in our driveway. So to top it all off, the ambulance, which was parked in the brown square, was stuck. It got stuck in the snow. So it took the firemen off of all the trucks and the administrative vehicles and everything about 20 minutes to dig the ambulance out of the snowbank and move the vehicles around so that they could get everybody out. By this time, the mountain alarm guy was furious because we were keeping him from his next job. When we finally got everybody moved out, oh, look, I got a text message. We set off an alarm. We didn't add anything to the studio equipment-wise or cost-wise or anything like that, so we'll leave that for next time. But it was an exciting time in the studio nonetheless. Next time we'll actually try to make some music instead of dealing with the fire department. We hope we'll join you next time on Moose Track Studio.